Gary. Upright and above room temperature. Good afternoon. Welcome to the special meeting of the Escambia County TDC. Today is September 9th, and it is approximately 3:03 p.m. Danielle, was this meeting properly advertised?
Yes, in the Sun Press on September 5th.
Great, thank you. Would you please call the roll?
Jeff Bogash,
Here.
James Reeves, Mary Hoxing, Shirley Cronley, David Baer,
Here.
Ronald Rivera,
Here.
Matish Patel,
Here.
Tiniyade Broughton, Casey Jones.
Great, we do have a quorum. So this meeting is now called to order. Thank you. At this time, we will take we'll do public forum, take public comment for anyone who wishes to speak about anything tourism related except for the agenda items. If you're here to speak to any one of the agenda items, we'll take the public comments during that time. And if you do wish to speak at all, whether now or during the agenda items, please fill out one of the speaker request forms. Are they up at the table? They're at the table over here, the media table. Is there anyone here from the general public who would like to speak today to anything tourism related? Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, and thank you all. My name is James Simpkins, and I'm representing the Pensacola Yacht Club and our not-for-profit foundation. And I would like to bring before the board an idea that we are trying to present, which is to recognize Pensacola's own American Magic team, which is now competing in Spain. That competition will wrap up at the end of this calendar year, And this is putting Pensacola on the map for international sailing activities. As you already know, this is a great economic shot in the arm, bringing some high-tech and very internationally noticeable people to this town. And we want to, with our foundation, provide an event to welcome them back to Pensacola and start their journey with us. This is planned to be an open event to the public, and we are seeking to host this on our grounds. And we've already started coordinating with the Mayor Reeves and the city, and we are looking at possible timing in January to February. They have to pack up from Spain and load everything on a ship and get back. But when that happens, we want to give them a good, warm Pensacola welcome. So we are seeking future board support for that initiative.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Is there anyone else here from the public who'd like to speak today? All right, seeing none, we will move on to our business items. We have 3 agenda items today: the Bay Center and Ashton Brosenham Indoor Park, sports facility discussion, the Pensacon request, and we also have the SS United States. Was not on our published agenda, but after the county commission moved last week to approve the funding portion of the funding, it has come back to as an add-on to the agenda today.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
can we take them in reverse order?
Yeah, I was going to take, that's my next comment, was I'd like to take Pensacon first, and then the SS United States second, and then the Base Center, Ashton Brosenham Park third. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Can you speak into the mic? I can't hear you.
I'm the only council representative here, and we have a meeting, a council agenda review at 3:30.
Yes, ma'am.
So because of the scheduling conflict, I wouldn't be able to come if they moved the item last.
Move which item last?
The one you all just mentioned, Bay Center.
You want to move it last?
No,
or
I'm
you
saying
do
I
not?
wouldn't be able to still be
Oh.
here.
The reason I was trying to move it to the last was because we had these other 2 items at our last meeting, and because our discussion on that Bay Center ran long, we did not have the opportunity to discuss those other, and I think those 2 items will be a lot faster than the last item, and so I wanted to move those forward.
Okay, well, just know that if you move it, then there will be no city representative present.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else object to the reordering of the agenda?
I do too. I think city representatives should be in the room for a $90 million discussion, but that's just my point of view.
Madam Councilwoman, how long will you be able to stay for this discussion? I can't hear you. So for another 22 minutes. Will you turn your microphone on, please?
I said I'm choosing to be late to the city council meeting so I can be present for this discussion.
Okay. Well, in light of that request, we will keep the Bay Center Ashton Brosenham Indoor Sports Facility first. Are there any speakers here? I don't have any speaker request forms for this item. You did fill one out? Come on up, Ted. Will you give those to Danielle, please? Thank you. Introduce yourself, please, sir.
Ted Ent, 15 North Sunset Gulf Breeze. So on the agenda item that we're discussing currently, the study that was provided to me says that for this project to be successful, there should be stakeholder support. I want to quote from the study that was provided to me by the consultant from the stakeholder political support section. Destinations that are successful have political support from a variety of public and private stakeholders that prioritize sports tourism as an economic generator. These include local and state governments, local leagues, collegiate athletic departments, DMOs, economic development agencies, hospitality industry professionals, facility management, and event organizers. I want to go on the record by saying most of these stakeholders were not consulted before this study came out 2 days prior to the last TDC meeting. In fact, to my knowledge, no current hoteliers or our local DMO or anyone else who generates TDC money was consulted in any way about the proposal of the current location after the study was completed. You guys were told that hoteliers supported an indoor sports center, and that is true, without a doubt. However, the hoteliers that I've spoken to, including myself, who represents Innisfree Hotels, does not support the current location. The study indicates that we're going to spend $4 million in tax money every year to service the bond to generate just $1.1 million in additional local tax revenue after the year that we have stabilized the project. To me, that is just not a good investment. And that's just a guesstimate, because to date, we haven't done any official business plan to support locating an indoor sports facility at the Ashton Brosnahan Center. In fact, there was a previous study that was done where the locations were identified, and the first location was proximate to downtown, and the second location, I believe, was W Street, the old soccer fields. So one of the things I would ask you, and I know several people on this board are business people, for those kind of returns, would you invest your own money in a project like this? Because I can tell you, I, for one, wouldn't. This project and its magnitude needs to serve multi-purposes. An investment like this in a community our size, putting a bond restriction on that much TDT money is a generational thing for us. This is going to happen one time for the next 30 years. Once we make this decision, we don't get to come back and take another bite at this apple. In fact, most of us will long be gone before this cent ever comes back around again to be rebonded. We have always believed that a multi-purpose center that could do indoor sports as well as meetings and conventions, and also leverage the existing value of the Bay Center, which we all agree is an amazing structure that survived multiple hurricanes through the test of time, and obviously needs a significant investment to go forward, is the right path forward for us to do this. The county has now shown us that they have an appetite to have a real discussion about how we're going to invest our future TDT money, and all the stakeholders ask is they get a chance to currently evaluate this study as well as future studies to make sure we make a decision so that we don't bond something away that we can't come back to at a later date, y'all. The one thing I've learned about being a developer in 35 years is you don't pick a spot just because it's the easiest spot to get something done. You pick the spot where you think you're going to get the highest return on your investment. None of the documents that have been provided publicly to me about this investment indicate that this is the highest and best use for us as a community. As such, I respectfully request that the TDC vote no on the proposed project and allow the stakeholders locally to work with the presenters of this development to develop a project that best serves the entire community. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Next speaker is Sharon Gobert, I apologize if I butchered that.
You got it correct.
Thank you. Please introduce yourself.
Sharon Gobert. I'm a District 5 representative, former Lipscomb Elementary School parent and a taxpayer.
May I interrupt real quick? I forgot to say earlier, please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Gotcha.
I need to set a timer.
I'm here as a 12-year skate parent and Greater Pensacola Figure Skating Club board member. I represent almost 300 figure skaters of all abilities, ages 2.5 to adult. In spite of our sporadic seasonal ice access, Pensacola has a very successful and vibrant ice sports community consisting of well over 500 figure skating, youth hockey, and adult hockey participants. Combined, the amateur ice sports program occupies the Bay Center Ice weekdays from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until almost midnight, plus some weekends. except when there's an event or conversion. We rent 99% of the ice time that is offered to us, generating in excess of an estimated $150,000 in revenue to the Bay Center each season. This figure does not include revenues generated by public, holiday, and after-game skates, which are frequently sold out in advance. Our programs have no room to grow. Our figure skating program has wait lists for all of our beginner classes and our newest programs for adaptive and Special Olympics skating. At capacity, the adult hockey closed out their registration within 15 minutes last season and had a wait list of almost 100, which never clears. In the past, our youth hockey has had 1 to 2 year wait lists for a place on a team. We also have an organization that wishes to start an Ice Warriors hockey team for disabled veterans. Currently, those interested players are traveling to Dallas as there's no ice available for them. Our ice sports families frequently travel to allow our kids to have ice access. Pelham, Jacksonville, Florida, and Columbus, Georgia are the rinks we most often frequent. Youth hockey uses these places as their home rink for training, hosting tournaments and friendlies, which should be hosted here. And we generate significant dollars for those communities because we have no way to host those events here. We are the only part of Florida that doesn't have year-round ice access, and I have a map I would love to share with you. Along with the Bay Center renovations to the ice plant, please reconsider funding a Bay Center practice rink or the inclusion of an ice sheet if a sports facility is to be built. Give us a chance to talk. We were another stakeholder that wasn't invited to the table for the second time. Take time to assess any potential economic impact a rink might yield. There is no competition for ice sports for miles. Why duplicate and compete for hard court sports when there's an opportunity to be unique and enjoy the built-in book of business that already exists? Are we just waiting for another community to attract the tourists as well as our local programs away? And I'm probably out of time. 20 seconds, okay. Just a side note, we just received our fall ice availability for our programs. And if your child skates on a Wednesday or a Thursday night, between the month of October and December 31st, your child's going to have 2 lessons. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. All right, our next speaker is Greg, does that say Banford? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please introduce yourself and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Greg Bamford. 2026 will mark the 30th year since I was here in Pensacola. I've been back and forth several times. I'm the father of a junior ice flyer that plays hockey here. He's been traveling and playing hockey for 7 years. I'm not speaking statistics, I'm not speaking data. What I'm speaking about is an opportunity to be creative in an environment that is ever growing. It's amazing to see the growth of Pensacola in the 30 years since I've been gone and have come back. It takes imagination to grow a community, and the council needs to be imaginative in how it uses its available space. To not think about the advantages that including ice, hockey, figure skating, the opportunity for classes, lessons, summer activities that will grow your tourism is short-sighted. I've heard or read comments where people will not invest money in the community if they don't think that it's going to be profitable in 5 years, and I think that's short-sighted. I don't think I've ever heard of a product or a business that has started and is profitable in their first 2 to 3 years. You have an opportunity to increase the activity of your youth, your community, your adults, in a period of time when your beaches are full, your hotels are full, and on a hot summer day, some of the best places you can be is an ice rink. I also think that it's short-sighted to say that using the bed tax and not using it for advertisement for the hotels and for other tourism-related things in the beaches is also short-sighted. In those off seasons, hockey and figure skating will bring tournaments in. You can bring in almost $20,000 to $30,000 per tournament in your off season. We may not fill your hotels in the summer, but these activities have an opportunity to bring business in your off season. Pensacola needs to continue to have the imagination and the willingness to take risk that has changed the downtown to an amazing place to spend your free time. And I think that an unwillingness to talk to the stakeholders that have something other to offer than what is standard here in the community is the wrong answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Jen Burkhart.
I'm Jen Burkhart, and I am the secretary for the Northwest Florida Hockey League, the Pensacola Junior Ice Flyers. I am also the manager for the 12 and the 14U tournament teams. And I'm a parent of a little hockey player. I would like you to consider ice sports for the new facility. I know it seems like we have other sports that maybe are more common or more important, but I just want to remind you that the last 4 years, the Stanley Cup has come home to Florida. We are growing all the time. We're the 10th in the nation for producing hockey players. Here, I have almost 30 hockey players on my teams, and currently we are spending $250 an hour in Columbus to skate those kids. In addition to that money, that's just the ice time. We also are paying for hotels, about $500 a family a weekend. That's money that could be that we could have people coming to our community paying that $500 to us. In addition to that, we go to 4 to 6 tournaments a year, usually over the winter. Those tournaments are stay to play. We have to stay. All 30 of us have to stay to play there. And we have to pay to do that, full price, sometimes extra. We have over 10 teams that skate with us here, and we're begging for ice time, for single hours of ice time for our kids. Our travel teams paid $17,000 to Birmingham and Columbus for supplemental ice and host weekends. Those host weekends should be held here. That $17,000 should be coming here, but instead we're walking it to Birmingham. Our Learn to Play program closed last season with 139 on the wait list. That's just the ones waiting. Right now, we have over 100 kids registered, and our season hasn't started yet. We have 21 practices between now and the end of December for all of those kids. The Southern Youth Travel Hockey League is who our travel teams play with. They posted over $700,000 profit, that one league and tournament revenue. None of that revenue came here. None of that went to our hotels. None of that went to our restaurants. None of that. Our kids had to pay to go do that. So I would just like to ask you to please consider giving our hundreds of little people a place to skate year-round, or at least more than we get now. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Frank Lloyd.
Hi, I'm Frank Lloyd. I got like a zillion things in my brain right now, but I'll just tell you where I'm at. I come from Massachusetts. I grew up. I was 3 years old when I started skating. Played multiple sports as a kid, but I gravitated to hockey when I grew up. Played hockey for 26 years. Coached a Pee Wee hockey team to a championship because I taught them how to play the game. Retired, got into figure skating, became a USFSA, bronze level freestyle skater. And where I skated up in Massachusetts, there were 8 sheets of ice. We're only asking for 1. But that rink generated in the busy season $80,000 a weekend, $50,000 on the off season. It's very productive. The owner of the rink wanted to generate hotels so that he would make all the money, the profit that he could get. So it's a good deal if you guys would consider that. But so that's kind of where I'm at with. I'm retired. I skated 5 years ago. That was my last competition. I'm injured, but I'm working my way back. because skating is better than pounding, okay? So that's where I'm at. So I'm going to be, so unfortunately, Pensacola Sports Commission, two feasible studies, assesses needs in this community despite having legal and binding contracts with SMG and the county. We've not been included at the table. We've not been able to tell the consultants what our needs are, if they are being met, how many residents and visitors participate, how many dollars are generated, the tourism, the military, the inquiries received, the dollars of what we, as an organization and participants, spend elsewhere, that our current market extends from Panama City to Gulf, Biloxi. How many other sports were not invited to the table for this feasible study? Are the results truly an accurate representation of this community's needs? So just consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Darren Schaefer.
Good afternoon, Darren Schaefer with Visit Pensacola. I just wanted to come out today, this afternoon, and share how Visit Pensacola shares the use of the 5th cent to do destination development and use that money to either create new facilities or renovate existing facilities that have the potential to generate significant visitor impact for Escambia County. I'm a big fan of sports. In my previous life, I did something very similar, ran a sports authority like my friend Ray Palmer. I understand the value, what they can bring to the county. At Visit Pensacola, in our strategic plan, we've identified, however, that one of our immediate needs and opportunities is to provide conference space of size of 125,000 square feet minimum to address the woefully inadequate availability of space in our market that's currently preventing existing events to grow, but are really our inability to attract major meetings and conferences to our area. And we've ongoingly developed a list of all the meetings and conference and the meeting planners that we've talked to that can't come here, would love to come here, but can't because we don't have the space. I'd be happy to share that. I think I've been vocal with the Board of County Commissioners and the TDC in the past about that priority. And the reason why I'm here now is that when I look at the proposal that came out after the last TDC meeting and looking at how that's to be funded, it is going to effectively use up the 5th cent as far as being bondable. And neither of the two facilities proposed are going to be able to provide, that meeting and conference space needs. There'll be some open space, do some exhibit space, but won't really meet the needs of a meeting planner, won't be competitive that we can actually go out and pitch and bring those kind of events to Escambia County. And with the fact that that'll be bonded for the next 30 years, it means that, unfortunately, we won't have the ability to use TDT funds to help create that facility potentially for the next 30 years, and that would be detrimental to the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. All right. That is our last speaker that signed up. Is there anyone else here who wished to speak to this item that did not fill out paperwork? If not, I will call Ray Palmer and Michael Capps and Michael Rhodes. Please come on up. And friends.
Thank you. Obviously, we've already made our presentation, so I guess today was really for us to try and clarify any questions other than we need a bigger pot of money, because we can't make everybody happy. And we feel very strongly that of the facilities and the properties that we found, that this one checks more boxes than any of the others. Is it perfect? We know it's not. And so we're here to try and answer any specific questions you may have, and then we'll see what y'all decide to do.
Michael?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Ray, and thank you, Board, for having us back today. As Ray said, we realized maybe this property might not check every box there is, but we feel that it checks a whole lot of boxes. And we've been on neutral for this type facility for 10 to 15 years. I've been here 18 years, and it's been discussed for, I believe, Ray can correct me on this, for 10 or 15 years, and it's been on neutral. And this is a county-owned facility, as I said last time, that does check a whole lot of the boxes. Drafting a few notes here is we were asked to perform a feasibility study to see if an indoor venue would fit on this particular site and determine if there was a demand for the indoor space for sports or special events. The study yielded yes. There is a need for indoor space, be it for sports or for expos or special events. The study deemed that there is a need for these type of this type of space, and it also deemed we were tasked for determining if this site could accommodate this type of a facility, in which the study yielded a yes, that it could accommodate this type. Is it the perfect site? I'm not saying that. I'm saying it checks a whole lot of boxes for this, and it's also a proven site, evident by 4 to 5 major soccer tournaments already at the site, having over 100 teams for those events. So it is a proven site. Again, not maybe the perfect site, I'm not saying that, but it checks a whole lot of boxes that folks will come to Brosnahan Park. It's not too far out. Home of the SEC soccer tournament, probably the most elite, high-profile college conference in the country. So again, we feel it checks a whole lot of boxes. Certainly we know it has some challenges like traffic and so forth, which again, the study was very clear that it does present some challenges with traffic, and we feel that we have a way to accommodate that, frankly, just with smart scheduling. The volume of traffic is very high during the school hours. It's not that high during non-school hours, in which we would not have events during school hours. That's just not the case. But again, I realize this is a challenge. This is a tough decision. And again, I think Ray said it best. This is a county-owned facility that we feel checks a whole lot of the boxes in a situation where there hasn't been a whole lot of options come before you, in my opinion. So I thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Reeves?
Let me ask you a question.
Michael? Yes, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Have you, I mean, all we can do is recommend, have you discussed this particular proposal with all the county commissioners?
The county commissioners were vetted on, well, I say vetted, were given this proposal in advance, the feasibility study, yes, sir. I can't speak for them how the support is, but they were given the information prior to this presentation, prior to coming to the TDC.
So you spoke with all the county commissioners?
That is correct, sir, along with the school board.
So because this is a bond issue, from experience, I know that it's going to take longer than most. So have you spoken to any of the incoming county commissioners?
No, sir, I have not. Mr. Stroberger obviously was an aide to one of the commissioners. I know Mr. Stroberger. I've never met Miss Ashley Hoffberger.
Okay, I just wondered
if that was the question, I apologize.
The question was, have you spoken to the incoming ones? Because it's going to go over.
I have spoken to Mr. Stroberger, not about this particular subject. Like I said, I've never met Miss Ashley Hoffberger.
Okay. Thank you.
Shirley? One on the right.
There we go, thanks. Sure. I have a question. I know that, both of you, Ray and Michael, I know that y'all have spent a tremendous amount of time looking at other sites and so forth. And I know that this is the best site that you find that will accommodate the things you have, plus check all the boxes. Can you share with us any other sites that were possibly considered and why they were not acceptable?
Well, when we approved, or this board approved the contract for this one, it was specific to this site. Previously, we have looked at the old ECUA property, which ultimately was then sold to Mr. Studer, and then he opted out for a different use. We looked at a facility on the port. We looked at a facility at the end of Main Street, across from the yacht club and in the Sanders Beach area, but the extension of the EPA, the remediation of that was such a long period of time, there was no support for that one. The amount of property remediation at the port, which was a waste site, same thing, just didn't make sense. And the other one was up at the W Street area, and I don't remember now. Of course, FPL had it and bought it, and we tried to get the county to trade property. They were going to trade property because FPL had that, and they wanted to build some kind of an energy farm, but they didn't have the right kind of property and the quantities that they needed that would make the trade, so that killed that one as a trade, and they were not interested in, or not willing, FPL was not willing to sell us off a portion of it. There was an all or nothing deal, which was 27 acres or whatever. It was way out of budget. Again, it goes back to, we basically have been told you have one source of funds. No Triumph money, no tourist improvement districts have been pursued. So we've not pursued, and the TDC has not pursued, and the county has not pursued, or LOST. We were told you have one pocket of money, and it ain't honestly very big when you divide. I gotta be honest, if you really think we want to kill all our tourism dollars on one project that has a lot of community components to it, hell no, we don't. That's not our mission, but that's our directive from the people that we respond to. So that's what the guidelines that we're working under. So if those are Brent was also looked at. I don't know. I wasn't part of the organization that looked at Brent and why that doesn't fit. I can tell you pretty quickly, it doesn't have hotel structure. It doesn't have the restaurants that these types of clientele are looking for, and it surely doesn't meet the downtown need of the conference center or the convention type business.
And the Bay Center was also included in that study.
Okay.
He left that one out, but the Bay Center was number one location.
You're right. In the original look was the Bay Center, but not it was just, what is the Bay Center? What are the purposes of the Bay Center? Because the original study, I don't know which study you're looking at.
The one that was done 7 years ago that showed an adjacent building next to the Bay Center. It was a popular study, the one we got on Friday.
Well, okay,
it was like a copy of it, but it was a new one that was sent Friday. I don't know where that came from.
That's a different study than the one. I've never been a part of that study.
Okay.
Before we lose Councilwoman Broughton, you have some comments?
I just wanted to say I have to go.
Oh, okay.
But also,
Speaking of the microphone, please.
but also, it seems like there are many community members here who weren't invited. It seems they're saying they weren't invited to a conversation, or that there are parts of the conversation that they weren't privy to. So I want to make sure that they are. And honestly, when I first heard this plan, I was all excited because I thought it was a perfect plan, but I eventually started hearing from people who had input that just weren't invited to the table. And even the fact that it's 2 members on city council, and I'm guessing Councilman Jones is at city council at our meeting right now, which is where I'm supposed to be. So I would like this conversation to be more open for everyone who's at the table. And even though I understand what happened last time, we ran over, and today we're having this other conversation on a council day where we're the only ones who are representative of the city up here. So I hear you all, and I hope that we can have at least an opportunity to have more of a conversation where the city's at the table. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
And now I gotta go. All right.
Be careful. Ronnie, were you going to?
Yeah, just real quick, I did have an opportunity. I was the one that kind of asked for the study, and I did read the study. I've actually read it 3 or 4 times. And oddly enough, I wrote out there, right? That's kind of what you should do, is write out there and take a look around. I do have some concerns about the study. The study is pretty clear that the engineering plan has not been done for wastewater treatment out there, or for water treatment out there, rather. Could somebody talk to me a little bit about that? I mean, it says that this approach is conceptual in nature, has not been engineered to details. Could somebody just talk to me a little bit about that and tell me, you know, that's kind of how the conversation started with me to begin with, was the infrastructure. Is the infrastructure there, and will it hold this? The study kind of claims that stormwater management is just a strategy, and it's not a plan currently. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, again, this being a feasibility study, it was just the initial review of stormwater and engineering per se. And I have asked David Grazel with Convergence Design. He should be on the call via Zoom right now. The CMR department had him on, and I would defer to him to this if possible. Mr. Grazel, are you available? I'll let CMR, before the meeting, they were patching him in to make sure.
All right.
If I can give it a second.
I'm here. Can anyone hear me?
Yep. If you would speak up just a little bit, it's hard to hear.
Sure.
Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, basically what you both said is correct. We did a conceptual stormwater management plan, but not a detailed stormwater management plan because we don't have a building design yet. It would make sense to do a detailed stormwater management plan once the building has been designed, but it doesn't make sense to do all the engineering at this point when there's, not yet a building design. Having said that, I feel very confident that with the various stormwater management measures that are proposed in the feasibility study that were worked out with our civil engineering consultant, OWN, that we can very readily develop a stormwater management plan for this site that meets all the county and state criteria for treating stormwater on site. I don't think that's going to be the thing that derails this project.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, David, and stand by.
Please.
I'm here.
Tish?
I got a question for either one of you guys. So I know, Ray, you mentioned to me that there's like a committee that was put together, and just now you said that this location was the only location that was there was no really site survey to say, hey, which locations are ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who decided on this location, and who made that call that, hey, let's only study this location and not look at the other ones that were on the list before? Because if I read the one 7 years ago, and this wasn't even on the list at the time, and somehow it surpassed all the rest of them.
Well, that's because it wasn't on the list 5 years ago. And quite frankly, I don't know why we missed it 5 years ago, but probably a year or so ago, we were all standing out there and we were like, look at this huge, big old flat piece of land we've got, and we just added the extension to the SEC soccer, the soccer complex. We just added a multipurpose building, and it was made sense. And so y'all approved this site only. When you approved this study to be the engineering and feasibility of putting this building on this site, we did as a group. This is what we brought to y'all with the proposal, with the budget or the bids, and said, here are our bids for doing this. So we did this as a group, as this was the site that we said, this is the site we're going to go look and see if it works.
So why wasn't the tourist industry included in this particular involvement, and the other stakeholders that feel like they've been taken by surprise?
We've reported at Visit Pensacola, we've reported here in the TDC meetings, updates. Michael, talked about this along the way. I don't know, I have a good answer. Nothing was being hidden from anybody. Jim, why they weren't, I think that the county said we're going to put a committee together. Felt like we'd been going through this for 15 years and 4 different studies, and we had narrowed it down. And, you know, when you get to a certain point, you feel like you're there, and we felt like we were there. Again, this was one check the boxes we thought better than anybody. And we still think it checks more boxes than anything that we are aware of that's affordable, that the county already owns, and still feel that way. And so the county put together a committee of mostly county employees and myself to push this next venue study, and it seemed to be the right thing going. I mean, there have been reports at Rotary meetings, we've told the story, and nobody said, oh, we're not, you know, this is what we're going to do. We know we're supposed to build an indoor venue because that's what the community has said we need. I know they want ice. I know the pool people want a swimming pool. I know BMX people that want a BMX track. I mean, we have a lot of requests and a lot of needs, but we don't have a lot of money. So this is where we ended up today. That's God's honest truth, and I don't think anybody was intended to be left out, and I think information was out there. Again, Michael Capps made a presentation a month ago for 60, 70, 80 million dollars, and Jim, you questioned him, why aren't you asking for it all today? And he said, well, I was told not to. So we're following the directives of our leadership because we answer to you guys.
So how did you decide to put the 2 bond issues together?
We have talked a number of times
Come on
about
down, Stephen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to just say, I was trying to push them together because I didn't want one to cannibalize the other because I thought that both projects were very important and that it'd be important that the TDC